fatigue that won't go away. Swollen legs by evening. A creatinine number that keeps climbing. If that sounds like your life, the problem might not be your kidneys at all. Forget the blueberries. Forget the watermelon. The real key to protecting your kidneys is sitting right in your gut, and most nephrologists aren't talking about it. Here's the uncomfortable truth: chronic kidney disease doesn't just damage your kidneys. It destroys your gut microbiome. And when your gut breaks down, it starts producing uremic toxins that flood back into your bloodstream, accelerating kidney damage faster than the original disease itself. It's a silent, self-reinforcing cycle that millions of CKD patients are trapped in right now without knowing it. In fact, a 2023 study found that patients who addressed gut dysbiosis alongside standard kidney treatment saw measurably slower disease progression than those who didn't. That changes everything about how we approach kidney care. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 clinically backed steps, from fiber intake to probiotics, hydration, medications that secretly wreck your gut, and the one lifestyle habit that outperforms most blood pressure drugs, to break that cycle for good. Before we dive in, drop your age, your current GFR or creatinine level, and where you're watching from in the comments. I personally read every single one and will answer your questions directly. Step 1. How dietary fiber really works for your kidneys. Let's start with something that almost nobody in the kidney health space talks about honestly. Your doctor probably told you to watch your potassium. So you cut out bananas, potatoes, oranges. Maybe you even stopped eating as many vegetables. And here's the cruel irony: that decision, made out of caution, might actually be making your potassium levels worse. This is what researchers call the fiber gap in kidney disease, and it's one of the most underrecognized problems in CKD management today. Here's how fiber actually works inside your body. When you eat fiber, your gut bacteria ferment it and produce something called short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate, propionate, and acetate. These compounds do 3 things that matter enormously for kidney patients. They repair the intestinal lining, reduce systemic inflammation, and most importantly, they suppress the growth of bacteria that produce uremic toxins like indoxyl sulfate and p-cressyl sulfate. Those 2 toxins alone are directly responsible for accelerating kidney fibrosis. Less fiber means more of these toxins circulating in your bloodstream, which means faster kidney decline. Now here's the part about constipation that most patients don't connect. When stool sits in your colon too long because there isn't enough fiber to move it through, bacteria have more time to ferment protein instead of fiber. Protein fermentation produces ammonia and uremic toxins in large quantities. On top of that, straining during bowel movements raises intra-abdominal pressure, which temporarily but repeatedly reduces blood flow to the kidneys. A 2019 study published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that CKD patients with chronic constipation had a 13% faster rate of eGFR decline compared to those with regular bowel habits. The constipation itself was driving the potassium spike, not the vegetables. So what should you actually eat? The target is 25 grams per day for women and 38 grams per day for men, according to the Institute of Medicine. For kidney patients who need to balance fiber intake with potassium and oxalate concerns, these are the most practical options. Number 1. Cauliflower low in potassium, low in oxalate, and 1 cup provides about 2 grams of fiber. It can be steamed, riced, or mashed as a potato substitute. Number 2. Red cabbage exceptionally low in potassium at roughly 170 milligrams per cup, and it contains both soluble and insoluble fiber. Best eaten lightly cooked to reduce oxalate content further. Number 3. Green beans. Around 4 grams of fiber per cup after boiling, and boiling itself leaches out a significant portion of potassium, making them considerably safer for stage 3 and 4 patients. Number 4. Apples, peeled, provides soluble fiber called pectin, which is particularly effective at binding uremic toxins in the gut before they get absorbed. One medium apple gives you about 3 grams of fiber with manageable potassium levels. A plant-based dietary pattern built around these foods has been shown in a 2020 clinical review in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology to slow GFR decline by up to 30% in stage 3 and 4 CKD patients over a 2-year period. The mechanism is not mysterious. More fiber means less uremic toxin production, less inflammation, and a gut environment that works with your kidneys instead of against them. The timing matters too. Spreading fiber intake across all 3 meals rather than loading it into one sitting prevents sudden shifts in gut fermentation and keeps bowel transit time consistent throughout the day. Now, fiber is only one side of this equation. The other side is making sure you have enough of the right bacteria in your gut to actually ferment that fiber properly. And that brings us to something most kidney patients have never considered: the specific fermented foods that have been shown to reduce cholesterol, improve insulin resistance, and directly support kidney function. What you're about to hear in the next step might completely change the way you think about the food in your refrigerator. Step 2, the method that helped me keep my gut microbiome stable. Think of your gut as a city. Fiber builds the roads. But probiotics are the workers who live there and run everything. And right now, if you have CKD, your city is severely understaffed. Here's what's happening at the molecular level. Chronic kidney disease systematically wipes out beneficial bacterial strains, particularly Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium species, while allowing harmful bacteria like Clostridium and Enterobacteriaceae to overpopulate. Those harmful bacteria are the ones producing indoxyl sulfate and p-cressyl sulfate, the same uremic toxins from step 1. Repopulating your gut with the right bacteria doesn't just improve digestion. It directly competes with the toxin-producing colonies and shrinks them over time. This is where fermented foods become genuinely therapeutic, not just trendy. Number 1. Kimchi. The active compounds here are Lactobacillus plantarum and Lactobacillus brevis. A 2022 study in the journal Nutrients found that regular kimchi consumption reduced LDL cholesterol by an average of 8.2% and improved insulin sensitivity in patients with metabolic syndrome, a condition that overlaps heavily with CKD progression. Start with 2 tablespoons alongside a meal, not on an empty stomach, to avoid discomfort. Choose low-sodium versions where available since standard kimchi can be high in salt. Number 2. Tempeh. Unlike most fermented foods, tempeh is also a complete protein source with a gut-friendly fermentation profile from Rhizopus oligosporus mold. It's particularly valuable for kidney patients because it delivers protein with lower phosphorus bioavailability compared to animal protein. Lightly steam or pan fry without heavy marinades to preserve the live culture activity. Number 3. Kefir contains upward of 30 distinct probiotic strains, far more than yogurt. A 2021 trial published in Frontiers in Nutrition showed that 200 milliliters of kefir daily for 8 weeks significantly reduced inflammatory markers including CRP in CKD stage 3 patients. Drink it in the morning before breakfast when stomach acid is lower and bacterial survival rate through the digestive tract is higher. One more thing most people overlook entirely. If you eat organic apples, do not throw away the core. the seeds and core of a single organic apple contain approximately 100 million beneficial bacteria according to research from Grez University of Technology. Conventionally grown apples carry roughly 10,000. That difference is not trivial. Everything we've covered so far, the fiber, the fermented foods, the organic produce, can be quietly undermined by something sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. In the next step, we're going to look at specific medications that are actively destroying your gut lining without you realizing it, and one surprising drug that does the exact opposite. Step 3. 90% of kidney patients are making the same mistake with their medications. You've been doing everything right. The fiber, the fermented foods. And yet your gut still feels off, your constipation keeps coming back, and your creatinine isn't moving in the right direction. If that's you, the answer might not be in your kitchen at all. It might be in your pill organizer. This is the conversation almost no one is having with their patients, and it's costing people years of kidney function. Several of the most commonly prescribed medications for CKD-related conditions directly damage gut motility and microbiome balance as a side effect. Not occasionally. Routinely. And because these drugs are managing real problems like pain, blood pressure, and heart rate, most patients never connect their worsening constipation to the prescription they've been taking for years. Number 1, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. The active mechanism here is COX enzyme inhibition. NSAIDs block both COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, which are essential for maintaining the protective mucus layer of the intestinal wall. Without that protection, gut permeability increases, a condition commonly called leaky gut, which allows uremic toxins to cross directly into the bloodstream at a higher rate. A 2018 analysis in Kidney International confirmed that even short-term NSAID use in CKD patients accelerated intestinal barrier dysfunction measurably within 72 hours of consistent dosing. Number 2, calcium channel blockers. These work by relaxing smooth muscle tissue to lower blood pressure. The problem is that the intestinal wall is also smooth muscle. Slowed intestinal contractions mean slower transit time, harder stools, and exactly the kind of prolonged protein fermentation that drives uremic toxin production upward. This effect is dose-dependent and cumulative. Number 3, beta blockers. Beta blockers reduce sympathetic nervous system activity, which also slows peristalsis, the wave-like contractions that move waste through your colon. Patients on long-term beta blocker therapy report constipation at significantly higher rates, and in kidney patients, that constipation carries the specific consequences we covered in Step 1. None of this means you should stop these medications. That decision belongs to your doctor. What it means is that if you are on any of these drugs, managing your gut health is not optional. It becomes a medical necessity. Now here's where the story turns. There's one medication, already available by prescription, that does the opposite of everything above. Lactulose is an osmotic laxative whose active mechanism goes well beyond softening stool. Once it reaches the colon undigested, gut bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids, which directly acidify the colonic environment and suppress the growth of urease-producing bacteria responsible for ammonia and uremic toxin generation. A controlled trial published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition found that lactulose use over 12 weeks in stage 3 and 4 CKD patients produced a statistically significant reduction in serum creatinine levels alongside measurable increases in bifidobacterium populations. The dosing typically starts at 15 to 30 milliliters once daily, adjusted based on bowel response, and always under physician guidance. The medication picture is more complicated than most people realize. But there's something even more fundamental that almost every kidney patient underestimates, something that costs nothing, requires no prescription, and yet has a direct impact on your electrolytes, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and your gut motility all at once. We're talking about water, in the specific way you're probably drinking it wrong. Step 4. The small detail about water that changes everything. After everything we've covered, fiber, fermented foods, and medications, there's one detail so simple that most people dismiss it entirely. And that dismissal is quietly unraveling every other effort you're making. The detail is not how much water you drink. It's when your body tells you to drink it. By the time you feel thirsty, you are already in a mild state of dehydration. For a healthy 30-year-old, that's inconvenient. For a kidney patient over 60, that delay triggers a chain reaction that touches every single system we've discussed in this video. Here's the mechanism. Water is the medium through which your kidneys filter waste. When fluid intake drops, your body compensates by releasing a hormone called vasopressin, also known as antidiuretic hormone. Vasopressin signals the kidneys to retain water by concentrating urine, which sounds helpful but carries a significant cost. Concentrated urine means higher levels of waste solutes sitting in contact with kidney tubules for longer periods. A 2020 study from the National Kidney Foundation found that CKD patients with chronically low fluid intake had eGFR decline rates 17% faster than those who maintained consistent daily hydration, independent of diet and medication variables. The downstream effects extend beyond the kidneys directly. Mild dehydration thickens the blood slightly, raising both blood pressure and blood glucose concentration, two variables that kidney patients are already fighting to control. At the same time, reduced fluid in the colon slows intestinal transit time, which loops directly back to the constipation problem and the uremic toxin buildup we covered in Step 1 and Step 3. Everything in this video is connected, and water is the thread running through all of it. The practical guidance is straightforward but requires a timing shift. Drink water before thirst arrives, not in response to it. The general recommendation from the European Renal Association for CKD patients without physician-mandated fluid restrictions is approximately 1.5 to 2 liters per day, distributed across the day rather than consumed in large amounts at once. Large boluses of water consumed rapidly can temporarily dilute electrolytes, which is counterproductive for patients already managing sodium and potassium balance carefully. Two specific timing windows matter most. Drinking 250 milliliters of water within 30 minutes of waking rehydrates the body after overnight fluid loss and stimulates bowel motility first thing in the morning. Drinking another 250 milliliters about 30 minutes before each meal supports kidney filtration during the digestive window when metabolic waste production peaks. One important boundary: if your doctor has placed you on a fluid restriction, these recommendations do not override that instruction. Fluid restriction in late-stage CKD exists for specific clinical reasons, and the guidance above applies only to patients without that restriction. Water does its best work when the body is also physically moving. And that's where the final step comes in. What researchers discovered about the relationship between a simple 20-minute walk and gut microbiome diversity is something that genuinely surprised the medical community. And it's the piece of this puzzle that ties everything together. Step 5. The smartest way to rebuild your kidneys from the inside out. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. You don't need to push your body anywhere close to its limit. What you need is to understand why stillness, not weakness, is the real enemy of kidney health. Most older patients with CKD are told to rest, take it easy, and avoid overexertion. That advice, when taken too far, has quietly accelerated kidney decline in millions of people. Because the human body was never designed to stay still, and your gut microbiome pays the price first. Here's what happens at the biological level when you move. Physical activity stimulates the vagus nerve, the primary communication highway between your brain and your gut. Vagal stimulation directly increases intestinal motility and promotes the production of short-chain fatty acids by gut bacteria, the same compounds from step 1 that suppress uremic toxin generation. On top of that, moderate aerobic exercise triggers the release of irisin, a myokine produced by muscle tissue during contraction. Irisin has been shown to reduce intestinal permeability and support the integrity of the gut lining, which is precisely what NSAIDs and calcium channel blockers were eroding in step 3. The numbers behind this are hard to dismiss. A 2019 study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that CKD patients who engaged in moderate walking exercise 3 to 5 times per week for 12 weeks showed a 19% increase in gut microbiome diversity compared to sedentary controls. That same group also recorded measurable reductions in systolic blood pressure averaging 6 to 8 millimeters of mercury and LDL cholesterol reductions comparable to low-dose statin therapy, without the medication. The smartest approach for kidney patients is not intensity. It is consistency and timing. Morning walking, done within 1 hour of waking, engages the body during its natural cortisol peak, which supports energy metabolism and blood sugar regulation throughout the day. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes at a comfortable conversational pace, meaning you can still talk without gasping. Post-meal walking is the second and arguably more powerful window. A 10 to 15-minute walk within 30 minutes after eating has been shown in a 2022 meta-analysis in sports medicine to reduce post-meal blood glucose spikes by up to 22%, directly reducing the glycemic stress load that damaged kidneys struggle to filter. If walking outdoors is difficult, the same benefit applies to slow indoor movement, gentle stretching routines, or even standing and shifting weight for 10 minutes after meals. The threshold for benefit in kidney patients is genuinely low. What matters is that stillness is interrupted, consistently, every single day. You now have all 5 steps. Fiber to clear the toxin pathway. Fermented foods to rebuild the bacterial workforce. Medication awareness to stop the silent damage. Water timing to keep every system running. And daily movement to tie it all together from the inside out. Your kidneys did not fail overnight. And they will not recover overnight either. But every single step in this video works through the same underlying logic. A healthier gut produces fewer toxins, and fewer toxins give your kidneys the breathing room they need to stabilize and rebuild. 5 steps. No expensive supplements. No extreme diets. Just fiber, fermented foods, medication awareness, consistent hydration, and daily movement working together as one system. The patients who see real improvement are not the ones who do everything perfectly. They are the ones who start somewhere today and stay consistent for months. Pick one step from this video, just one, and build from there. If this video helped you see your kidney health differently, please share it with someone you know who is managing CKD. It might be the most useful thing they watch this month. Leave your GFR, your creatinine level, or just a question in the comments below. I read everything and I will reply. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of your gut, and your kidneys will follow. I'll see you in the next video.